Good day, everyone. We are Team C, and for today, we will be presenting the Renaissance through Baroque, Florence in the 1300s to 17th century Europe. This period marks a major shift in art from the realism and harmony of the Renaissance to the emotion and grandeur of the Baroque. Each of us will cover a key aspect from the nature of art during these eras to the artworks and their features, the major influencers, and the materials used. Let's begin with an overview of what art was like during the Renaissance and Baroque periods. The early Renaissance began in 1300s Florence, which shifted from medieval styles to more realistic art. Artists like Sandro Botticelli embraced humanism, which focused on beauty, proportion, and classical myths. As presented on the screen, the birth of Venus shows with grace, form, and idealized human figure. By the 1500s, the Renaissance focused on realism and perfection. Leonardo da Vinci mastered anatomy, light, and perspective. As an example, his painting The Last Supper shows balance and emotion, which highlights the Renaissance scientific and artistic growth. Toward the late 1500s, the Renaissance changed with the Reformation. For example, Italian painter Raphael's School of Athens reflects the shift, which shows great thinkers in a balanced space. It marks the end of Renaissance unity and celebrates knowledge and classical ideals. Baroque art rose in the 1600s, full of emotion, movement, and drama. As you all can see on the screen, Caravaggio's Calling of St. Matthew uses strong contrast and realism to grab attention. It reflects the Catholic Church aim to inspire faith through powerful dramatic visuals.
For the artworks and characteristics, Judith Slaying Holofernes by Artemisia Gentilsky depicts the biblical story of Judith, a Jewish widow who beheads Assyrian general Holofernes. The painting is notable for its technical skill and dramatic composition, reflecting Gentilsky's resilience as a female artist in a male-dominated field. The Night Watch, 1642, by Rembrandt van Rijn, features Captain Frans Banning Cook and Lieutenant Willem van Rutenburg. With vivid use of color and light, the painting captures the personalities and emotions of its subjects with remarkable detail, making it a technical masterpiece and a symbol of Dutch nationality. La Menina 1656 by Spanish artist Diego Velázquez depicts a scene in the royal court with Princess Margaret Teresa and her attendants. The painting features Velázquez's technical skill in capturing textures, reflections, as well as expressions. Portia Wounding Her Tie by Elisabetta Serrani depicts a scene from Plutarch's Parallel Lives where Portia, the wife of Marcus Brutus, cuts her own tie to prove her trustworthiness. The painting captures the intensity and drama of the moment, with Portia in a pose resembling classical sculpture.
The Calling of St. Matthew by Caravaggio in the 1600s breaks from tradition by placing the figures in a contemporary everyday setting, dressing them in a 17th century clothing to enhance realism. This naturalistic approach makes the divine encounter feel relatable, showcasing Caravaggio's mastery in combining emotion and narrative. Portrait of Innocent X by Diego Velázquez in the 1650, he uses dramatic contrast of light and shadow to create depth and realism, particularly in the Pope's textured robes and expressive face. Through his attention to detail, Velázquez delivers a powerful portrayal that stands as a hallmark of Baroque. The Education of the Princess by Peter Paul Rubens portrays a young princess receiving her education in a lavish court setting. Rubens uses perspective and strategic figure placement to create a sense of depth, while his rendering of luxurious fabrics highlights his fascination with ideals of refinement. The Judgment of Paris by Peter Paul Rubens in the 1632 illustrates a mythological tale of Paris, choosing the most beautiful goddess. Rubens emphasizes sensuality through luxurious textures and vivid tones, capturing the themes of beauty and passion.
Giotto di Bondone, a Trecento painter from Florence, revolutionized religious art by adding naturalism, emotion, and depth, moving away from flat medieval styles. His realistic human figures laid the groundwork for Renaissance art and later inspired the expressive Baroque style. Dante Alighieri transformed literature by writing the Divine Comedy, in Italian instead of Latin, blending classical and Christian themes like justice and salvation. His work helped shape Renaissance thought and influence symbolic into the Baroque period. Francesco Petrarch, known as the father of humanism, revived classical texts and emphasized individual emotion, morality, and thought. His poetry and letters sparked the intellectual spirit of the Renaissance and echoed in the self-reflection seen in Baroque culture. Giovanni Boccaccio, author of the Decameron, wrote realistic stories about love, tragedy, and everyday life. Using the vernacular, he explored human nature with humor and depth, contributing to Renaissance humanism and influencing emotional storytelling in the Baroque era.
These are the materials used during the Renaissance era. First one is egg tempera. It is a fast-drying, durable painting medium made by mixing colored pigments with egg yolk and water. Artists apply it in thin, precise layers, usually on wood panels. Sienna is a natural earth pigment made from iron and manganese oxide. In its raw form, it gives a yellow to brown hue. When heated, it turns reddish to brown. Artists used it for underpainting. The third one is sgraffito. This is a decorative technique involves applying layers of plaster tinted in contrasting colors to a surface and then scratching through the top layer to reveal the color beneath. It was commonly used for wall decorations and facades during the Renaissance. Carmen Lake, it is a vivid red pigment made from dried and crushed conical insects. The extracted dye was mixed with a substrate to create the pigment, often used in glazes over opaque layers to produce a rich luminous effect. In conclusion, the Renaissance and Baroque periods shaped the course of Western art, starting with a focus on realism, humanism, and classical ideals, and then evolving into dramatical, emotional, and grand expressions of faith and power. Through the artworks, artists, and materials, we've seen how art reflected the values, politics, and religion of the time. Thank you for listening.